here in southeast Sri Lanka, and we're in a place called Hambantota, which is a small city of 25,000 people, but it's mooted to be 1 million people based on the development of an international seaport and an international airport. We're on the way to see the seaport, which is being funded by the Chinese government, and eventually it's designed to be one of the largest ports in South Asia.
So much of investments are coming into Hambantota, and also all are very big national level projects. There are also some issues that no town planner would have ever faced. Particularly, this is an area with a very rich elephant habitat. So how do you plan with elephants?
It's such a big project, it's important to have a multidisciplinary approach to it, and that's where the PIA project has been really valuable to the Hambantota project, because over the last few years they've brought urban designers, planners, landscape architects.
Hambantota is going to be a landmark project of our input that you can see on the ground. If you can come back again in 2 years' time, you will see what is done is implemented.
Planning and designing a city from almost the ground up, it's a new city. There aren't those opportunities in Australia to plan on that scale.
So from 2005, with the support of AusAid and the Red Cross, we were able to develop a program which involved sending Australian planning volunteers over to Sri Lanka to work side by side with the planning profession there to start to develop town plans that would then lead into the rebuilding of tsunami-affected towns.
We are currently developing 2 harbours, 2 ports, seaports, and we are currently developing 1 additional international airport and many roads, many rail links. We are looking at the feasibility of linking road and rail to Indian road rail system across the sea. So there are very challenging new projects.
In the context of this particular project, planning is referring to land use planning, and so it's identifying what the needs are for a particular given area to be developed and to meet the needs of the community. It also involves many different things, from climate change issues through to social issues, through to transport and economic development as well. So it's creating a vision for what's needed in that area, and it's actually then identifying steps that need to be taken to actually create that community.
Well, I'm Steve Dunn, and here is a volunteer in Colombo working the PIA project, the regional plan for Uva.
In the New South Wales context, I could write a regional plan quite readily, but it's a bit different over here, and to be expected, it's different. So, sort of understanding what this project would deliver and what it would look like, that was probably the biggest challenge.
We're working with a team of about 10 Sri Lankans now. The numbers keep growing, so we've got lots of support, and this time what's been great is working with the 2 universities. So we've also got a relationship now with students from University of Muratua and La Trobe University, so that's been fun working with them, but they're also bringing something to the project.
It's really vital to be able to speak to the local residents, to the businesses, to the politicians, to see what's actually needed within an environment.
So we've got a busload of students here today from the University of Muratua and La Trobe University, and they're walking together around the town, talking to residents and business people. We've got a survey that they're asking questions from, asking them about what they like and what they don't like about their town.
I've been out with them doing some of those surveys, and people invite you into their home, and they're very interested and engaged in what we're trying to do. There's no reticence or cynicism about about the students. They've all been really well supported by the people they've spoken to.
The survey is fairly simple, but it'll tell us what people think in these towns and what their priorities are. It'll be interesting to see how those match up with the provincial government's priorities and what's in their budget. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of information to provide to some decision makers here about what people in the towns are saying.
So in terms of international development, this is what sets apart this project, where we're not meeting immediate needs. It's the strategic component of development. When you hear some of that fantastic, amazing news that millions of dollars have been invested in rebuilding a particular town that's been affected by a disaster, that's great and that's amazing news to hear. But from a planning perspective, you stop and think, well, hang on a second, where's this town being built? Have they actually identified what housing needs are? Is this meeting the needs of the community? Have we located all the infrastructure where it will be able to be accessible to the community? So that's the part that this project is involved in, and this is what sets planning aside.
Personally, I really was looking forward and am enjoying the experience of working in another country. All my working life I've been in Australia, and it's really different. It's really interesting.
People think, well, why, you're taking time off from work. Why are you going to work? But it's very different to working in Australia. This is a really enjoyable experience. You're getting to meet a lot of people, seeing a country from a different perspective.
Our biggest impact, I think, is showing how we work to the people we're working with. I think we tend to be more organised and plan our work more than has traditionally been done here in the past.
You have to draw on all of your skills and abilities, so everything you've done in the past you've got to use while you're here, because you tend to work by yourself and under your own means a fair bit.
The biggest wins on the board from where I sit is the capacity building. So it's basically the skill sharing between both the Sri Lankan and the Australian profession. And it's not only Australians going in there and sharing their experience, it's also learning a lot from our Sri Lankan colleagues as well.